guys, welcome back. Today we are finally getting ready to irrigate for reals this time. It's actually, I've never started irrigating this late in my life. Usually I've gone over our gravity fields at least a couple times by now, but right now I still got a blade along the pipe that we laid out, just haven't got to it. So we got the tractor blade on here. It's a 4560 mechanical front John Deere here, and yeah, we just got to put a little berm along the pipe here so we can, so the water doesn't back up. Plus, with the rain and stuff that we've had, it's kind of made it grooves and stuff wherever. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So yeah, we're doing this basically so the water don't back up beyond the pipe because it can still flow the other way. And also it kind of gives you some dirt if you ever have to scoop out rows or whatever. So it just kind of does a multitude of things. Plus it smooths out your road. So that's kind of why we blade along the pipe on this end anyway. So I was having trouble with the pivot this morning here. Today's Tuesday. And oh, it's on one of our bigger pivots. It's actually a 17 tower pivot, and I was having trouble with it stopping. I couldn't figure it out. I actually went all along it, and I just couldn't figure out which tower it was. And so it actually took off, ran for a little bit. I hit the water to it, and then it shut off not too long afterwards. So I went back out, and I could notice at the pivot point it would kind of every once in a while growl a little bit. I don't know what you call it, but just kind of like it's pulling a little too much. And so that's kind of a sign of maybe a center drive going out. And so I went back out there, and I kind of seen one that might have been the culprit because there's kind of a section. This is such a long pivot and it goes through a lot of twists and turns. It's hard to exactly pinpoint it. And so I seen this one, and I went and I actually touched the center drive, and it was about 150,000 degrees. So I'm gonna say it's pretty sure a center drive. So I'm gonna grab one. We actually keep parts in a shop, a different shop than what you usually see on camera, and hopefully I can get the missus to help me out this afternoon. What's nice about that is when after you get the center drive replaced out, you kind of got to know which what do you call it, how to hook it up right, make sure it's I can't think of the word right now, but basically make sure it's heading the right direction, and that's, you can do that by your different leads and stuff like that. So that's what we got going on now. It's lunchtime though now, and I'm gonna go try to butter up the missus and see if she'll help me out. So wish me luck, because if I don't, I'll have to go back and forth to the pivot point, figure it out that way. I need to make sure it's phased right. Phased. That's what I need to make sure. That's the word I was looking for. Phased. Phased. Okay. So this is a center drive on a pivot. This is the one that went bad. So I basically got to take these 4 bolts off, unwire it here, and go from there. And we got to take there's U-joints underneath here that we got to take off. So one thing in our experience in the past, I'm taking these U-joints off the center here. These kind of kept this around like that. But these yellow pucks have been junk in the past. They tend to explode, just chunk out and stuff. So it's, I guess, a blessing in disguise is I'm going to change these out too while I'm here and go from there. Alright, got the old guy off. I just let him drop right there for now. Got him unwired. Here's the new guy right here. One thing you got to do is, these are universal. And so you kind of got to line it up to make sure you got holes where they need to be. Then you bolt it up and go from there. Okay, now we're ready to wire it up right now. One of the things that you got to do is put one of these, I don't know what you call it, cord grabber deals that seals it off between here. It goes in this hole. Basically makes a weather tight seal going into your box, or your junction box here, whatever you call it. So yeah, we got to take this plate off, put this on, put the cord in and wire it up. And then we got to also put these U-joints back on. Go for there. I might actually put the U-joints back on first. That way I can worry about wiring last. The U-joints I'm trying out lately, they're really easy to put on. I just hope they last a while. But this basically slides over this. Then you just put either an inch or 3/4 inch shaft. Valley's use an inch, and Ranky and Zematic use 3/4 inch shafts. So these are universal. If you can see the square here, you got a smaller square this way, and then you got a larger square for the Valley shaft. So they work really nice. You can throw them in your pickup and they work for anything, and they're the quickest ones I've ever put on. Because the other ones, you have 4 bolts and you got to make sure they're all square usually and stuff. These are a little less work. So less work is better for this guy. Okay, so that's what they look like when they're done. It's a lot faster, a lot finicky than some of the older ones. Not that they were bad, it's just, this is just a spare one I had. It's just a different brand, same idea, just different brand. These are all black, which looks way better when it's going through the field. I mean, people really comment me by my black U-joints. I'm gonna pick up some of these tools that I don't need so I can start not losing some of them. Alright, we're looking inside the little junction box here. These are the wires they give us. This one will go to the ground wire coming in, obviously. And these other 3 I'll hook up to the other leads and go from there. As you can see, this is what we got that will come through. And so yeah, green. And sometimes it ain't exactly blue. Your different leads, you just got to make sure they're phased right. So I'm going to copy the last one. If you see the T2, T1, and this should be T3. I'm going to copy the last one, but that's not always a guarantee either. Okay, so I got it wired up at least for the first time. Hopefully it works the first time. Got them all hooked up. I just kind of did it according to the T1, T2, T3 that it came off of. That's always a good starting point, I guess, because it's kind of 50-50. So I'll go back to the pivot point and see if it goes the right direction. If not, I'll come back out here, reverse the polarities, and if that's what you call it, and then go from there. For those of you who are actually pivot guys watching this, please don't cringe too bad. I'm just a farmer. For some of you who might be kind of appalled by the corn I run over with my 4-wheeler, this is a 17 tower pivot, which it's actually a 300 acre pivot. And so to actually physically walk through all this corn, it's just a lot of work, especially when you got to carry a center drive or even a gearbox. Me personally, I got other pivots I can check. Maybe if it was my only pivot, I would walk it, but I'm just not going to do it myself. I guess personally, I think my physical health is a little bit better, more important than you know, some of my corn's health. But a lot of it I drive through, I find especially this year, we got a lot of gullies that just raise pretty good corns, and I just come in here and knock those out. So there's really minimal loss. So I tried it at the center point, and I was wrong. I got to go reverse the polarities.
On it?
I don't know what to do. I could do another do it. What can I do? What the?
Nice.
So I'm here on a field We're gonna start this pivot here pretty soon. This is a hydraulic pivot. It's called a TNL, is the brand name of it. The only problem with the basic setup is you control the speed and the direction at the end of the pivot. So we got to walk through the field here and find it. All right, up here. The TNL pivot again. This is how you change the direction and speed of these. Like I said, they do make them controllable at the pivot point. It's just an extra option you got to add to it. So I used to have my numbers written here, but it looks like they wore off. I'm gonna slow this down. So you just kind of slow it down. This is just a valve here that slows it down and speeds it up, but most of our range is anywhere from 6 to 10 with these tall tires. If you have shorter tires, you'd be running a lot faster. So I think if I remember right, let's start at 7. Actually, I'm going to go fairly faster, a little faster. And this is the direction of the valve. This means this way. This means that way. And you just set this back on top. I hope she works. While I'm out here, this is the corn that got our crop damage. If you go back to the video I'm going to put up here, this is what got damaged. As you can see, the leaves are still stripped up on the bottom leaves, but the leaves that shot out up top, they're all intact because those weren't out at the time of the damage. You can still see on the ground here though, some of the ones that got snapped off earlier, but it doesn't look terrible. It'll still probably do fairly well. I don't know, we may even grow ourselves out of a claim if it does well enough, but we'll see. The only thing is, on our crop insurance, we're insured with the hail up to 120%, meaning we can go up and over what our average yield is. So it still might kick in pretty good here too if we don't raise very well. So that's how that works basically. But yeah, you can still see the leaves here are picked up. But the more important leaves up here at top, they're still grabbing the photosynthesis and stuff. All right, let's get out of here. While I was coming up here, I still haven't mowed my road to the center point. So that's why I brought this guy up here. I was gonna mow it, and that way I can get in and out of the pivot better. Still a 6140 as in my previous videos. But on the back, instead of a wide mower, that bat weeding mower, we got a narrower to get along fence lines a little better. This one's a 7-footer, MX7. And so yeah, I'm just kind of doing along here. I'm on the north side of the pivot right now. I got to mow another swath all the way back to the gate basically, and then mow my trail into the center point, and then we can start the pivot. Well, I sure hope I find this pivot point. So one of the things that's different versus a TNL versus like the electric driven ones is everything's hydraulically driven. This is kind of like the generator for the hydraulics. Basically a pump where that pulley goes. This creates pressure, runs it through the lines, and it runs basically hydraulic motors at each tower. There's a hydraulic motor that goes on the outside of one gearbox, and the shaft goes through to the other gearbox and spins both at the same time. So one of the things you got to do for the pressure on these, they run about 1750 for hydraulic pressure. So if for some reason it's out of safetied out or in bypass, is kind of what they call on TNLs. When one gets out of a line, it'll kick itself out just like an electric would. There's two cables that run side by side on each side, and if one of them goes too far out of whack, it'll just kill the whole system basically. And so that's basically how it works on the hydraulic pivot. So today's Wednesday. Checking pivots this morning. I had one shut down last night. It had a flat tire. It was a relatively new tire. It was a tall tire, meaning it's 11/8 by 38. And I noticed the problem with it is it's an air type tire, like it's a tubeless type tire, but we always like to put tubes in them because once that bead spins in them, they'll go flat, and that tends to happen sometimes on these pivot tires. So I noticed inside this one it didn't have a tube. So the only bad part is too, it's kind of in a bottom spot, which usually is where they always get stuck at. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get a jack underneath of it and actually get it jacked up enough where I can get the old one off and the new one put back on. We always keep spares around, and the reason why is that way instead of going out, taking off the bad tire, taking it to a tire store, fixing it, and then bringing it back out, I could just swap them out in the field, and then when I got spare time, we can take them in to get them fixed or just get rid of them if they're too far gone. So no, we usually keep spares around just for that reason, but we're gonna head out there and see if we can get anything done. But my worry is I won't be able to get a base underneath that jack enough to get it lifted out of that hole, so I guess we'll find out. So the way I do things isn't quite, pretty or sexy or whatever, but it usually gets the job done. So yeah, don't laugh too hard. But in theory, I think I could drag it down there in this situation. Every situation I do is always a little bit different, but hey, I'm making this stuff up as I go. I feel bad I have to punish the new tire for the old tire's mistake. Yeah, here's the dilemma. This pivot wipes, it's a full quarter, but there's a big highline power line that runs right through the center of it. So there's actually two pivots, and they feed off one well. And I guess the valve doesn't quite seal off perfect enough, and this is the lowest point that it drops water. But I'm gonna attempt it anyway. I'm hoping I get enough footing there, but we'll just see how it goes. If not, we'll go to plan B. We just gotta try it. This is going to be the trickiest part, lining the holes up. These do have the studs, which is good, but when you're in muck by yourself, it just kind of hurts to rotate. So wish me luck. Okay, I think I might have got a start. I'm gonna try jacking it up a little. Hopefully it stays. I can't shove it on anymore, so we'll see how it goes. I gotta use four-wheeler for Brazil. It's always uphill. Now what I'm gonna do is see if it walks out. Is that loud? I won't make you wait for all this. If you're an earthworm, I'm dead sexy right now. I haven't got a video of me irrigating pipe. I do got the gravity fields out and it's running, but I just haven't got video of that. I'll have that also coming out in the next video. So this is basically where I'm going to cut this video off, and we'll catch you on the next one, and I hope you see you later. Thanks, guys.